Hello, and welcome to the HPTV Podcast, where we talk about all things Harry Potter, especially the television program coming to maybe HBO, maybe Paramount Plus, who knows. I'm Mitchell here along with Jamie and Steven. You can find us on all socials at HPTVPod or email us at hptvpodcast@gmail.com. Today we're going to give a nice taste of some of the audiobooks that have been coming out fast and furious and let you know the best of the best. And then we're going to talk. Well, first we'll start out with some headlines. We've got a recasting already of a main character to some degree. Main is strong. As I Googled Harry Potter, like all the clickbait headlines, like leaves before her season 2 arc. And I'm like, oh my land. Anyway, let's start there. The actress who's going to play Ginny Weasley, Gracie Cochrane, is stepping away. And it's all very like there's unforeseen circumstances making the challenging decision to step away. And they are respecting her decision. We wish her the best. Very PR. And some people are saying it is quite a serious thing or a big thing. And they're like, why would she do this? Because if it's anything like the other Harry Potter actors, she is walking away from, like, even I know Bonnie Wright hasn't come out that much, but a TV series, a lot of money and a lot of fame, which could be the healthiest thing. Could be like, ooh, yeah. Maybe we don't want to be, maybe she didn't like being on set and they're like, we don't want to invest in this life for a decade, but maybe there's a family situation that made it necessary. I'm speculating. I should not speculate about what a 10-year-old is doing, but what do you guys think? What does this mean for the series? I mean, Ginny is really only in one scene in the book, but could have been in 2 or 3 with the expanded stuff that we've heard about.
Well, they might have also not liked her performance or something. But I will
they're
say,
doing a gentle.
She
that
was
happened
one of
to Topanga. Sorry, go on.
Topanga stayed though.
No, she was not the original Topanga.
Oh, but didn't they replace her like day podcast? Of?
Yeah, it's complicated. It's complicated.
For stuff. But when I feel like she was one of the first ones when she got cast, she was very vocal about it. And I believe she's had experience and stuff before this. So I was a little surprised it was her, but at the same time, she has like one line? Possibly. They could have changed things. One line in the first season.
How they fleshed it out.
At least she didn't do like season 2 and then decide not to. She's in season 2 a lot. So that would be a big
It would have been a bit more jarring. She was in the movie Blitz, which was an Apple show from 2024 about the Blitz. I think you kind of have to ask the question. They seem to be playing, like, they're being very positive about this. So I assume they're not going to take her out. But with that limited amount of scenes, it's interesting. We just saw them filming at Waterloo. I don't remember her specifically being shown, but she could have been there with the Weasleys to pick up her brothers. Will they replace her, whether it be digitally or a reshoot? Because if it's only one scene, or one scene at the Burrow and one scene at the train station, would they reshoot to try and hold continuity with someone who's going to play a much bigger role in season 2? Or is that cruel? It's just so small that I don't think it's to be a big recasting. If they would have done it after Chamber, yes, you couldn't have done the reshoots then, obviously, at that point, but it gives you the option. Do we replace her, or is it so small it doesn't matter?
This is also where they kind of setting a precedent, right? Like, this is going to happen again, right? You're talking about a 10-year commitment stuff, right? People are going to have family emergencies and have, diagnoses, and people are going to pass away, unfortunately. And like, there's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff.
Stop foreshadowing John Lithgow.
I'm just saying.
But also,
I will be here saying, I told you so. But I mean, it's going to happen with other characters, right? And so whether big or small, I mean, hopefully it's the ones where they just appear for a minute and it's someone different when they come back for a longer arc like this.
No.
But I mean, in other cases it won't. So they're going to have to, like, I don't know, the makeup, or they're going to do something digital in order to, like, I don't know, transition from one person to the other. I don't know.
Find someone that looks really similar. Well, here's my thing. We talked about this when we talked about the movies. It's pretty much a miracle that so many of those kids stuck around for how many years was that? Like 12 years? That's a long time. And like, obviously less of a commitment. You're in and out. You might shoot for a couple days for one movie. You might be more in another movie. You might be in the background. So there's that. But I also, and I mean, I hope nothing major happened. I hope everything's okay. But I feel like this sets a precedent that like other kids might be like, oh, now in the back of their mind, they're like, well, I could drop out if I don't. But like, maybe she wasn't comfortable. Maybe someone was rude to her. Maybe she just didn't click with people. There's so many reasons that it could be that. But it also could be like something major happened in her personal life. So who knows?
She's done films before, and then, at least this one film and other things. Like, I think maybe the time commitment, maybe she just I think, like, because book 2 or, second season is the one that is the most Ginny heavy, I believe, right? I think maybe in 6 when her and Harry are dating. Spoiler alert. But it might have just been like, whoa, like it was already intense being there for a few days. I don't know if I could do that for a whole 6-month period or something, because it is a big time commitment. Who knows what else is going on there?
Talking about just how other characters might do this, the interesting thing is none of those smaller actors really took off. And it does seem like they were on set quite a lot for how much screen time they got. Like they really felt like you hear from Alfie Enoch, who played Dean and stuff, he felt like he grew up on that set, which, I mean, maybe if you're spending only 5 or 6 weeks a year, it can still feel that way. But with the amount they're investing into this and the amount they have the kids around and how much they're shooting and they might be in background, like it could be a big thing, but it also could mean that one of them takes off. All of a sudden in the off season, they film a movie and their career starts to take off. So I don't know what kind of contracts you're in. And I think when you're 10, 11, 12, it's probably, there's a lot more empathy. I think as soon as you're an older teenager, they're like, you signed a 7-picture deal, like, or 7-season deal, which is not uncommon in television at all, especially back in the day when they were doing these long seasons in America. Like you'd sign on for 6 22-episode seasons. And so what are going to be the consequences if they want to bail? Obviously, you have to do what's best for the kid, but the people running Paramount, Warner Brothers are ruthless. Okay. David Ellison is not going to care if your child wants to have a healthy life. Okay. He's going to stick you to it. He's going to want all that money back.
Your soul.
I was going to say, they got to do what's right for the kid, except when it, could cost them millions of dollars, in which case they'll be like, screw that kid. Hopefully not. But
unless they don't like the kid, and then they'll have no problem firing them, because that's how the world
that's how the
works.
contract. And obviously social media is much bigger now. It'll be really interesting to see. I think the big thing is the trio. I mean, we know Emma Watson has said, I almost walked away, and we don't know how close she got to walking away, but that would have been difficult. A couple other things that have been chatted about in the headlines, not a ton. I'm worried I missed something, but I really scoured today. Brendan Gleeson, who played Mad-Eye Moody, says he doesn't have any advice for the next Mad-Eye Moody. And then he says, do your own thing, which sounds to me like advice, Brendan. Okay. But he's right. That's a character that could be interpreted very differently, but still kind of have that, could be a bit more menacing, but could still have that fun to it. And then another old actor, Harry Melling, who played Dudley, he wrote a card to Amos Kitson, the new Dudley Dursley, wishing him the best and hoping he has fun filming the series. Just nice as we continue to see the baton pass.
That's someone, he's done pretty well post Potter.
Well, he kind of disappeared for a bit, or like we didn't really know, and then now he's been in a bunch in the last 4 or 5 years since Queen's Gambit. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I like
for a while there. He was just rolling in that Potter money, and then he was like, "Crap, I got to get back to work." And now here he's doing.
I wonder how much those side characters, like how much did the Phelps twins make? Because they have not really been acting since. They've done social media and hosting and a bunch of stuff. But I'm like, how much did they make? Like, they seem to be doing okay. And then I don't know how many conventions they're doing. A lot of stars now, big stars are doing these conventions because they're getting paid high six figures to go and just appear. And then they're charging $120 for an autograph, whatever. I digress. I could never, I like the idea of Comic-Con, but it may be more for merch or like creators. I could never, maybe a panel, but I could never wait in line to take a picture or get an autograph from a celebrity. Same. I just couldn't do it.
I would love to go to Comic-Con. I am not paying $200 to like stand next to, I don't know. I'm not judging anyone for it. No. Yeah, but I feel like they see a million people a day.
I understand their instinct, but it would not be fulfilling for me. And
maybe
I just never understood this like excitement people have to like, touch like their favorite actor or singer or like be in the same room as them. I'm like, they don't know who I am. They're not going to. So I don't know. What is it about us? How our upbringing that makes us like that? You guys just don't care about famous people. I would like it if they gave me money. Then I would be real good friends with them.
You pay me.
It's a little bit prostitute-y because people are just paying you for hugs. Nick Frost and Papa
Essiedu. Good hugs, guys. Come on.
Nick Frost and Papa Essiedu presented an award together at the BAFTA Television Awards, and Papa said, Hagrid and I are here to present the award for Best Supporting Actress. So a bit of fun banter there. I think Lox was also there. And the other thing we haven't talked about is the kid from Adolescence whose name has departed my mind. So sorry. You're a Golden Globe Emmy winner. You're amazing. I don't need to know. You don't need me to know your name. people are saying he's going to play Voldemort, and I'm like, isn't that a bit on the nose? But if he
Tom
wants
Riddle.
to, sorry, young Tom Riddle, and he is going to be the right age. He's coming 16, so
Owen Cooper.
Owen Cooper is the name.
Coop. That's why, because I call him Coop.
Yeah, that's hey Coop.
But that's another little rumor.
Your good buddy Coop. Yeah.
Which it'll be interesting if we get some chamber casting, but we know they're going to be shooting, so we will find out before season 1 premieres. But they got to spread the love, you know? Like we said, we've got a long time to wait now. I need to rewatch that trailer. Last but not least, and relevant to our discussion today, the audiobooks, the full cast audiobooks that we have been talking about over the last few months and are now complete and fully released will also be released in German. It sounds like the German editions were fairly beloved by their narrator was quite liked. So cool that they are going to be the, as far as I know, second language to get this. Curious before French or Spanish, maybe a little bit wider.
It really makes me wonder, what are like
spoken.
the biggest audiobook markets? I mean, I'm guessing the US is one in the English speaking world, but like, is German next? Is that the next like language / country where
I think this is worth looking into because, well, I don't know how big Harry Potter is in China, for example. I know it's not a huge part of its box office draw. Like Mandarin, obviously very well spoken. In India, it's got to be pretty big. So did they produce it in Hindi? But obviously, India is very a lot of people
India
speak
has
different
like 6 different languages.
Yeah, but each of them have like more than English speakers than America does. But yeah, Spanish and French would be the obvious Western languages to me. And then you had Japan and Korea, probably like Harry Potter, but maybe not big enough market to do it. This is one thing that with podcasts, I was kind of okay when they were going to use AI to translate. So you picture your favorite podcast host, me, and my voice is translated directly into Spanish. And so you can listen to the podcast, the personality you like in your native language. That's something that I think is AI appropriate because it's not something a human could do. It's something you could duplicate. But Spotify test ran it. They did it with like our Armchair Expert and they kind of dropped it. And I'm glad it's not affecting voice actors, but just a curious thought that might be a good way to get the audiobooks in more languages because you already have the background production done.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and it is just fine. Again, because when I listened before to like just all the background character, the cast is massive. So I do wonder if for other languages, like a scaled down version of that, where they only have so many actors. But otherwise, it is a huge like feat to go through and translate it all.
Do they like use that person's voice basically and like make it German, like so it still sound like Riz Ahmed or something?
I did. So like they did it with Armchair Expert. So you had Dax Shepard's voice in Spanish, and it sounded pretty good. The one that I think they released 3 actually, but I thought it was going to be a whole thing where they're rolling it out, and they kind of discussed how they felt like it was an ethical use of AI beforehand, but it didn't keep going. So who knows?
As long as they're paying the actor, for like the German, everyone
to
who
me,
buys
it's like
a German
you're not going to get a Spanish speaker to go in and well, I guess they do this with dubbing, but imitate Dax Shepard and his guest and stuff. I guess doing the guest every time would be hard, whereas doing a host because you can program it easier. I digress.
They do it for movies and stuff, but for podcasts, that would be hard. Like the just the sheer volume of like what they put out and everything, keeping up with it.
Also, congratulations to Bulgaria, the runners-up of the only Quidditch World Cup that I've personally witnessed. They won Eurovision last night, so I think that makes up for it. Excellent song. All right, let's move on to our main discussion. We have been reviewing the audiobooks, so we talked about the first couple in depth, but to keep up with these longer books and listen to the full thing, not even just initially after recording, but even in the months following, is quite tough when you're busy. So we each took a book and selected important sections from those books, important characters, and we're going to delve into those and give little reports on what we heard. So, Stephen, you listened to some key bits of the Order of the Phoenix. Tell us your thoughts.
I did. So I kind of focused it around the battle at the Ministry. So kind of the stuff leading up to that with them going to the forest with Umbridge and then, getting the Thestrals to London and then kind of the fight at the Ministry. And then, of course, Voldemort and Dumbledore battling it out too, dueling. And it was really cool. Like it, in some of the other books, some of the background stuff is kind of annoying where people are like breathing and then like grunting and like you hear the footsteps go up the stairs and stuff. But in these scenes, like the action scenes, man, did it work. And like the other books, I've listened to most of them, but they didn't have like action scenes like this. I mean, I guess the graveyard scene might come close for Harry, but there's a lot of like pause and then some action and then pause. This was just like boom, boom, boom. They're running, they're fighting, they're hiding, they're injured. And that all worked so well, I thought. Um, and it was cool too, just having the additional time. Like we've talked about this with the series so many times, is that in the movies it all felt so frenetic, and it was always like a very short version of what that scene could be. And so to feel it like fully dramatized and played out, it was awesome to get to see them going or hear them going into each room and kind of the people who were injured. Like you got the sense that they were injured. There's a scene with the brains that are falling everywhere and they're walking through whatever sludge they left behind, and there's like this squishing and everything, and it fits really well. So I feel like they found a good spot. They've gotten to a really sweet spot with the audio mix as well. Like that used to be a little bit jarring between you can hear the dialogue because the background effects are so loud. But yeah, it was really exciting. Like it really I was like, man, my heart is like pumping right now and I know what's gonna happen. But they did that well with it. Um, I think that just some of the performances, Keira Knightley throws me just because 'cause I'm so used to Jim
Yeah.
Dale's version and then Umbridge, from the movies, just like a deeper voice, and her voice sometimes was kind of, like, on the shrill side, and so I was like, go back, like, dial it back." Eh She definitely played Umbridge well. You get, like, that self-righteous, like, evil, like, I don't know, I need to impose my will on everyone because 'cause I'm so much better than them, kind of just feel from her. And so I feel like she played it really well, but it's just a good example of how it could be really, really different and still really good. Millie Gubby, who is another one who plays Luna, I was really impressed by that because I think Luna's played very flighty in the films and in the Jim Dale version of the audiobooks and just kind of like loopy. And this girl sounds so much more like confident and just like like assertive, and it's an interesting way to think about Luna because she is, like, committed to all the crazy crap she believes in, and it's doesn't make it less crazy, but it doesn't when she sounds all flighty, it's almost gives you the feeling that, "Oh, Luna just doesn't actually, like, know what's going on in reality." And the way this actress plays it is so different, and so I really liked her and just, like, her involvement in the battle and stuff comes off so different. The one thing I think that kept throwing me off is that Jackson, I guess it's Knopf? Who plays Harry. He's the, older version or the older voice actor playing Harry. He sounds kinda like Rupert Grint, and so it really confused me sometimes because just something about his voice is very akin to Rupert Grint, and so, they took out of the audiobooks don't have all of the, "Harry said this and Ron replied that," and so you have to just depend on knowing the voice, and so Harry would say things, and I'm like, "That's not a Ron line," and it's like, "Oh, yeah, that's Harry," and so during some of the scenes where, like, things are really flying and it's a lot of action, I'm like, "Why is Ron in the middle of this thing?" He's not. It's just that they sound the same. The other one I really liked was Ruth Wilson, who plays Bellatrix. She's British. Her accent is British. It always drove me nuts that in the movie they, like, went this French direction with her because she's a Black. Like, Narcissa doesn't have a French accent, neither does Andromeda, and so why did they always play her as like, maybe she married into a French family, but she's British, and yet they gave her, like, this French accent, you know what I'm talking about? And so
It's like
this chick
kind
is
of.
British, and she
Well,
does it
do you
well.
remember in
It's a
Jim
British.
Dale, the first time she shows up in the flashback in Goblet, she sounds completely different from the way he does the rest of it. Like, but yeah.
And
So
she's just
those were
trying to
kind of
sound
what I
French.
thought of the others. I mean, yeah, I think that that's what it was, because a lot Lestrange sounds like a French name, but, like, it doesn't jive. I also did go down a rabbit hole about the Black family and things like that when I was just verifying I wasn't crazy that she was a Black. So fun fact, for example, Sirius's parents are both Blacks. So it's Sirius's mother, whose last name is Black, who it's her brother is Bellatrix's dad, and his dad is also a Black. So they were like cousins who had the
Incest?
same last name and then had their kids. So I mean, we know about all the wizarding families, the old families and all their inbreeding. It was like not that long ago. It was in
I
the
didn't
more
realize
recent
this.
past.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
go
have
look
to
at that
fact check
family
this.
tree.
Did
Where's
you do
that
this on
tapestry?
AI? Did you ask AI?
I did ask AI, but I clicked on the links to check the sources. It was in the
I'm gonna have to check.
what's the lexicon stuff? I mean, I don't know where they get their crap either sometimes, let's be honest. Some of that I'm like, oh, is that real? But that's what it said. And I was just like, dang.
They're more like the
But everyone
Lannisters
else
and
did really
the
good too.
Targaryens than we thought.
Yeah.
I mean, in history, it's a thing too. You ever gone real far back in family trees? Like there's a lot of branches that reconnect up in there. It's a little
I really want that wallpaper of the black family tree, but now I
Yeah,
need
it
to
is
look at
cool.
it more because it looks like a lot of those branches are coming back together.
some swirly things going
Yeah,
on.
they were
But
second cousins.
I think those were the most notable performances, but they're all really good. I think it's really well done. I'm a little upset actually that it's over, even though I haven't listened to the last two. But just with how well it was done, maybe they'll do it in Portuguese, and I can listen to the Portuguese version next.
Well, they're
and still
always
get
there,
some
Stephen.
new exciting.
You can go back and listen
I
again.
know, but you know what it is though. Like once you've heard it for the first, and like the first time is always different. You know what I mean? Where like you don't know exactly how it's gonna go, what they're gonna do. And so going back is good. It's just not quite the
Well, the
same.
closer I get to 40, the more it feels like the first time every time because I can't remember anything.
There's the advantage to having core memories.
Jamie, what did you think about the Half-Blood Prince?
So I really focused on the cave and the lightning struck tower. So, spoiler alert, when Dumbledore dies, essentially. And the funny thing is, I've been listening to Goblet of Fire on and off with my daughter. Like, we've been reading, and sometimes we'll do the full cast audio. And in that book, Harry sounds too old to me. Like, I feel like, I mean, I know it's asking a lot. I feel like there should have been an in between actor because it's quite the jump from like the 12-year-old to the 17-year-old or how old he is. But this, I was like listening to this, like jumping from 4 to this. I'm like, okay, his voice fits a lot better to this for this age for me, which was nice. I'll start with the cave scene, which is arguably the best written chapter in the books. For me, it's like one of my favorite. I liked it. I am saying, compared to Stevens, I only have a few voice actors in my scenes. It picks up a little bit in the last one, but the background sounds and stuff, like, I know it's dramatized and it's a different feel than the movies, but like Harry's background, like, like the sim sounds kind of was driving me nuts. Like, he's like, Dumbledore. I'm like, okay, let's calm down. Like, a lot's happening, but let's calm down. So that was a bit much to me. And I will say, as much as like we knock on Gambon and especially the Goblet of Fire stuff, this is one of my favorite scenes from him in the movies. And it was very different because in the movie, it's almost like this calm panic drama where like Dumbledore's like slowly, as he drinks the potion, he's slowly like becoming less and less of himself. And Harry's like, he's alone. It's really quiet. And then when the Inferi pop up, it gets really loud. But this was very dramatic, and Dumbledore's like yelling out and crying more, which does fit with what's in the book. But it was just, I don't know. I still feel like the movie did it better. Less of a tension building instead of like, we're right there. But it was still, I mean, it still made me emotional. It was a little interesting to hear it played out that way. And the panic was a lot more from Harry in this than what we get in the movie. And there's just things I like kind of forgot had happened. Like I didn't realize Harry had to like basically revive Dumbledore, or at least did the spell to revive him. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot got that far. Also, random thought. I don't know why I've never thought about this. Was Regulus one of the Inferi then? Could he have been one of them?
Is that how that works? I don't know.
Yeah, he got dragged into the water and died. Well, yeah.
Every time I reread, there's something new I think about. And then Hugh Laurie in general as Dumbledore, I like him. It's hard not to think of like House sometimes. Like it's a little Gambon-y in the way that like he's just, you think of like very black and white, but especially in the scenes, it's obviously not as like playful Dumbledore. But I thought he did a really good job. There was the line where Harry's like, "Aren't you worried?" And he says, "I'm not worried, Harry. I'm with you." That's one of my favorite lines, and he does it so well. I got a little teary-eyed there. But I will say it was good and it got the emotional pull for me, but it just wasn't, I don't know, for being my favorite chapter, it was a little hard, and especially the background noises and Harry overly freaking out about things, even though it's justified, I guess. And then the lightning struck tower, I thought was very well done. I like the older Draco. Was his name Maximus? Maximus Evans. I think he does a really good job, especially the younger Draco. Again, we've talked about, he's a little bit like stereotype, like the way he would talk. It was
bad.
You know, I don't want to judge children, but it wasn't great. I didn't love it. I didn't love the choice. But I actually think this kid did a really good job. The back and forth is really good. I almost forgot how long Dumbledore and Draco go back and forth. And I think I always interpreted it as Dumbledore being really kind in a way to Draco. And I feel like the movie plays a little bit like that too. But I kind of liked Hugh Laurie's performance here because it was a little, I guess, a little stern, like, you did this, but at the same time, there is the kindness obviously behind it that Dumbledore's like, well, you're not going to kill me. But, you know, you can tell he does feel a little bit for Draco, even though Mitchell doesn't want anyone feeling for Draco. But the background noises were cool of the battle happening inside the school. A lot of screaming, but I'm like, part of me's like, who's screaming so much? But it did add to the tension of the scene, and like Harry not being able to move, all that kind of stuff. Whoever does Greyback's voice was so good, and they put like this like creepy echoey sound on it. It legit was scary. I was like, I liked this a lot.
Chris Jarman.
It was a little like
He's the man.
Scary hot. I don't know, but you know, he did have like blood breath and stuff. I forget that Bellatrix actually isn't even at all in that scene. So that was like, I was like, oh, Bellatrix isn't here. Like, it's kind of Greyback's. I mean, it's Malfoy's thing. And then when Snape comes in, and luckily he doesn't talk a lot because I just don't think his voice fits, but kills Dumbledore. But overall, I thought it was, I really liked that second chapter of the two better than the cave scene, like just how it was done. And I think I liked, still feel like even with the like grunts and stuff, it was a little more subtle than those early chapters. And I was going to say also in the cave scene, it felt kind of rush how fast and stuff they were going, and I kept checking. I was like, do I have this on like a higher speed? But no. But I just feel like the rest of the book is so like, especially the way the narrator Kush is talking, it's very enunciated and put out
Much
there.
more
So
to it. But there's definitely an increase in volume and like speed that she
yes.
does with her narration and during those action scenes. Because I went back and checked a couple of times too, because she has a very like, just think if we're talking about the Dursleys at the beginning of like Sorcerer's Stone, it's very like paced and calm and everything. But no, when you get those action scenes, it starts flying.
It's like, and I do like how she's like building up her tension with like what's going on, but it was almost, I don't know, it was a little jarring to me. But also I didn't build up to it. Like I just skipped to listening to these chapters. So maybe.
So my plan for the Deathly Hallows was to start when they get to Hogsmeade after Gringotts, and then listen to the Battle of Hogwarts, the Forest again, and the Prince's Tale, and King's Cross again. So I didn't get that far, but part of it was because I started getting emotional. Is it cold there, Jamie?
Yes, it's cold.
And I did not want to cry on a bus. So I did listening first to the Aberforth bit. I kind of did skip towards that chapter. He is so good, and the actor's name is Harry Myers, who has done some live action stuff. I actually kind of recognize his face, but he's mostly done voice acting. And I think because it's a limited part, but he has a lot to do and convey in that very small part, I was like, this is why you have to hire voice actors. It doesn't mean voice actors can't be on screen, and screen actors can't be voice actors or even really good at it, but it just shows that someone who does this specifically, it was really like, it just felt miles ahead of some of the other voice acting that I'd heard. And it's funny because I actually didn't love Neville at first, but then it really warmed up on me over like 2 or 3 minutes. And then later when Harry and Neville are talking and Harry tells him, you've got to kill the snake, I was like all in on Neville at that point. So it just shows back and forth. A big thing is like, I love most of Jim Dale's pronunciations, but once in a while he would intonate something that I'm like, I don't think that's what that was supposed to be said. So like when Aberforth says, I've got food, Jim Dale says it like defensively, like, I can help with that. I don't know. And the way Harry Myers says it is just perfect. It's just like, it's more on. Anyway, I will stop saying nice things about Harry Myers. But I got really excited and emotional. I love this part of the book when they're walking down the tunnel and they don't know what's coming, and Neville is going to show them what they've been doing at Hogwarts and how excited they are to see him, how ready they are to fight. So the other thing is the caterwauling charm, which I was worried because it's supposed to be screechy and horrible. So you have to convey that without it actually making the listener hate it. And I was like, this is excellent. And I think I think they figured something out by the time they were on 7. With Cush Jumbo, I really liked her as well. I thought she was really in it. It was really made things clear because book 7, the Battle of Hogwarts, is so chaotic. And sometimes it's jumping around in a way that is hard to capture in audio. And even if you're a speed reader, you kind of do have to orient yourself once in a while. And I thought that the sound effects oriented you really well. Now, look, they were never going to hit 100% on the audio effects. Once in a while, I heard something that was jarring or annoying. Once in a while, that, there is too much breathing or this or that. Just take that crap out.
Really annoying.
But overall, I had my sense of place really well. And I thought the way that the pace picked up and the emotion picked up from almost all of the actors, like I was really there when the order showed up and stuff. It really brought me into it. And I did start to get quite emotional. And when I knew characters were about to die, I had to stop because I was going to cry in public.
Cry on the
I'm all about crying. Men, you can cry as much as you want, but it was tough.
Not in England. Just kidding.
And so, yeah, I got to the forest again, and I listened to that bit with Harry and Neville saying goodbye, and I couldn't and I wanted to because that is so important, and his parents and Sirius coming back. And then I wanted to hear, I think we've talked about Dumbledore quite a lot. I think he's done really well. And once in a while I get lost and I forget that it's such a famous actor. Anyway, Dr. House has done a very good job. And it did make me really want to continue my journey. And I will. I just listened to too many podcasts to have enough audio time.
Overall, even listening today in Goblet of Fire, I had a hard time with the Quidditch match. I felt like there was too much background noise. It was almost overwhelming for me. But then I felt like the first task was done really well. So there's things I like and there's things I don't like. But overall, I will say it's been really good. And it's really interesting to hear a different take on everything and just something new from what we've had.
I think they got better as they went. They're fun. I do think because they're on Audible, it would be fun if they went back and maybe tweak them a little bit. But I do want to listen to them all that way. And then I want to listen to them by Jim Dale. And then I want to listen to the Stephen Fry ones again because now that I'm more familiar with Stephen Fry. And yeah, when am I going to have time to listen to these 3 times? Stephen Fry, have you guys watched Celebrity Traders? He's amazing. Also,
I loved him. I've loved him before Traders. Do I love him as my Harry Potter audiobook narrator? No.
He's got some things I don't like, but he does some great things. Trader. You're wearing a hood.
I'm cold.
I did on Thursday win a pub quiz. This is really important because it's not easy, okay? You go to these pub quizzes and there's these people who've been doing it for years and years and these psychotic quiz masters, and me and a few coworkers or ex-coworkers were just wanted to have a get together, and we won on a tiebreaker question. And I pulled a couple of great answers, including the Count of Monte Cristo, the Man in the Iron Mask, and yes, Stephen Fry. And I'm very proud. And so I'm going to brag about it here in this public forum that I won a pub quiz.
You're going to be like, and there was a Harry Potter question. Nope, you just won.
Well, one of the themes was prisoners. And I was like, there better be an Azkaban question. But there was not an Azkaban question. There was not a question about the film Prisoners, but it was about famous prisoners. Oh, I was also hoping there'd be a Les Mis question. I was like 24601. We won. It was a very fun.
I'm so proud.
Quiz.
What'd you win?
Thank you. So you win £30. In this case, it's usually £30-40. So we just bought another round, and then you can also sometimes. Oh, and then you get to play. They have a jackpot game where you have to get the answer. It's something impossibly difficult, and you have to get the answer exactly right, and then you can win. I think this was almost £400. So it's just fun to do once in a while. And I used to go with that group every few weeks, and we just decided to go again to a new pub and give it a try. And yeah, pub quizzes are just a great time. Come back to the UK, guys. Come on, let's go do a pub quiz together.
We do them here. So just call
it's
bar
different
quizzes. We have
I did do some
Harry Potter nights at our bars.
We have those too.
Not that
It's
I'm
actually,
going.
in some ways, it's hard because there will be very culturally British questions like, 90s British TV. I'm not going to know that. And then if there is a question about America, anything to do with America, they look at me like, you better know it. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm excited to listen to. I do want to reread the books too with my physical eyes, which I was
we should
doing
do one before the show
as we
comes
were
out.
reading. Yeah, we have to. But I did actually read that whole one as we were doing book club with your child. And then I started to fall behind somewhere in chamber. And now you're in the middle of book 4 and I'm just like listening, reading a bit and cliff noting. And it's sad.
You're like, oh yeah, when we talk about it. That happens.
Whoa, I'm not the only one, okay? Denise is the only dedicated person.
Well,
and
no
even
one
she
else
was
shows
behind
up.
Stephen.
Poor Amelie.
More Potter. I'm excited for more Potter. We need more Potter. There's got to be something big. Now that that's over, what are we going to hear about? We've got July 31st, September 1st, Harry's birthday, and the Return to Hogwarts Day. There's got to be something in store because we're in the 25th anniversary year. They can only milk this reflection on the movie thing so much. We got to start looking forward, people. So thanks for joining us here on the HPTV podcast. We will be back with you. We're going to be in every other week mode right now until things kick into gear. If you have any ideas, thoughts, feelings, things you want us to cover, find us on social media, HPTVPod, or email us at hptvpodcast@gmail.com. A reminder, we can now be found on iHeart as well as all of the podcasts and video apps that you normally see podcasters on all the time. But thanks again for joining us. Jamie, send us out.
Peace out, snitches.